Okay, I'm just setting up the camera here. I'm not very tech savvy. It's the new year, and I'm actually writing a book called Big God, Big Glory. And hopefully that'll be finished sometime this year. Hi, if you're watching, Happy New Year. Today we're going to talk about art and expression. So I grew up with two brothers and two sisters who were very good at drawing, very good at detailed drawing, realistic type stuff. And because that kind of art expression didn't come naturally to me, I assumed that I wasn't an artist. I assumed that, I wasn't a visual artist, and I would many times say, oh, I can't do that. And I would actually put that self-deprecating proclamation over my life, which isn't good, but I didn't know better at that time. Anyway, years later, I decided to go for it. I said, what do I have to lose? I love the idea of art. I've always loved the idea of being a visual artist. And so I'm just going to try something. I'm just going to explore. I'm just going to experiment. So I discovered my art. I discovered that I actually am an artist. And my medium of expression is more in the abstract realm. So where their art was so good at the realism and the detail, I was limiting and suppressing my own art because I was comparing myself to the art of others. I was saying, oh, that's art. Like what they do, that's art. I can't do that. And then I learned that visual art is such a broad and expansive genre of artistry that there's almost like a place for everyone. And I found my place in art, and I'm really excited. The stuff I do is more like hitting the driving range than putting. You know, I like the broad brush strokes, and I'm not going to have the patience and the accuracy to do some kind of detailed thing. So to each his own. That's what's beautiful about it. There is so much diversity and spectrum and possibility in art. So anyway, with this same concept, I'm going to go ahead and compare it to the church, because that's really what I'm interested in, is expression and creativity and releasing that into our modern North American churches. I say modern North American churches because historically we've had more expression, creativity, and movement. I say specifically North American because right now in Africa and South America, like other places in the world, people are moving in their churches. I'm talking about physically moving in their churches. We've lost the body in our expression. We worship God with like our mind and our heart, but we've kind of left the physical component behind. So anyway, I make this art parallel because I see this in my church, and I have a great church, and I love my church, but I'm just the church. I've before I got to the church I'm at now, I visited probably 100 or 200 churches. I mean, literally for 2 years, I traveled around Florida, the Carolinas, like all up the East Coast. I did a trip trying out different churches, and I traveled all around Florida. And what I see is that there's not a lot of dance going on in churches. And by dance, that's a broader genre. It's not just trained dance that you might think of, but any kind of movement, any kind of physical expression in the church environment. And I found that the churches, there are more churches that kind of allow movement in a more contained or controlled expression. I'm referring to trained dancers doing a choreography for the encouragement of the congregation. And this is a beautiful thing. God uses this. I could compare this to a choir, a choir of trained singers who have rehearsed, and they're sort of performing something for the edification of the body and for the glorification of God. And so that's a beautiful thing. But I find it okay. So you have churches that will allow dance in that way, but dance. Hi, Caitlin. Dance and movement expression is meant to be a participatory thing as well. And I find that we're healthier in our perspective of singing, of vocal expression. So in a lot of our choirs, we have the more maybe trained singers that have their skill set and their excellence, you could say, and they're on the platform. They're expressing and they're singing and they're kind of leading. Hey, Jake, you'll like the topic today. But then as a congregation, we sing, whether we are off pitch or have a squeaky voice, or, maybe we aren't singers, but we're still singing because it glorifies God, and that's something that we participate in together. So I find that the singing thing's kind of on point. Oh, hey, well, thanks for saying hi. Bye, Jake. Have a good one. However, when it comes to our bodies, when it comes to physical expression, we, in many cases, are leaving it to the dancers. I hear many people in the congregation say, well, I'm not a dancer. I couldn't do that. And I want to make this, thanks, Jake. I want to make this singing parallel, because I don't hear people going, oh, I'm not a singer. I couldn't sing, and it's not like the worship team saying, okay, you guys all be quiet. You guys do not sing because we're the singers. And so we're going to do our singing and you hush your mouth and like we have the train. You know what I mean? Like there's an element of, yes, there's roles, but the people on the platform have a specific maybe training, but it's accessible and it's available to more people, and there's a whole genre of movement and dance and expression that isn't trained ballet, like we're seeing in all of our churches. And ballet is gorgeous. I love ballet. I studied it for years. I think it's a gorgeous expression. And I celebrate the pinks and the blacks maybe of the colors that they're demonstrating, but there's fuchsia and there's magenta and there's teal and there's lavender and there's all of these colors, and some of it's an untrained body. Some of it's, I wouldn't say some of it, I would say most of it, because think of your general congregation. Think of the people that are in there. I just don't want people to be limited in their thinking of expression. I don't want people to think because they haven't had formal training that they don't have a place of dancing within the church or within the congregation, because anyone really can put on music and begin to feel that music and begin to move with that music, and especially in a spiritual setting, especially with God and communion and unity with Jesus Christ. Like, I just want to encourage you guys, whether it be visual art, you don't think you're a painter, you don't think you're a singer, or a dancer, whatever these labels are, whatever these words are, I just encourage you to, maybe in the privacy of the loving, supportive environment of your home. Maybe it's just you and God. If you're not a Christian, well, maybe you still want to talk to God and invite him into your creativity, but, I'm just saying you can still apply these things even in a not explicitly spiritual context, even though that's what I'm speaking from, because I really care about that, the church environment and spirituality. And but anyway, so maybe you turn music on in your house and you just start to allow your body to explore it. And if you're a Christian, you can talk to God. I mean, like, this is such a cool prayer, you can just be like, God, like, I want to know you. Like, I want to explore how I feel about you through music. Like, I want to celebrate you through my body. I want to adore you through my physical expression, the body, the creation that declares the glory of God, the holiness of you, God, your diversity, your spectacle of love, your wildness, your flow, your divineness, like everything that you are, God. Like, I want to commune with you. I want to be in unity with you. I want to be in union. I want to be yoked to you, God. Mind, soul, body, spirit. We are one. You and I are one, God. I am in the vine, and apart from you, I can do nothing. But if I'm connected to you, if I'm connected to your love, God, then I'm powerful and I'm strong and I'm fearless and I'm free. And this is who I am, and this is who I was made to be. Wow, that was like a cool moment. So this divine flow. I want to make another note, which is kind of an interesting side point, I think. Just like physical movement isn't limited, and this, I'm talking about the church environment, but if you're not into that, let's take it to a concert in the park, okay? So however you want to go with that in your mind. I don't want to lose any people watching this because of it's too religious or whatever. Hey, Brittany! We think of singing as singing. It's this certain thing. But in the Bible, if you look up any word like praise or rejoice or any typical word of expression like worship, praise, rejoice, be thankful even, and you look that up in the original language, find the translation of praise so that you can learn what praise actually is. It's best if you don't go by your personal experience or tradition or what you've seen before, but actually trying to discover, like, what is praise? Like, what does God want from me? Like, he's already pleased with me. My identity, my status with him is good. My relationship with him is good. But, like, I want to know who he is, and I want to know who I am in him. And so if you look up these words, just you can go to Strong's Concordance. There's an online version, which I found out after I bought the gigantic book that's like this thick, and I was looking it up by hand. But these praise expressions, the actual meaning, the interpretation of praise in the original language, it includes a physical component. So it's not just our minds and our hearts praising God, but it's actually, usually there's an element of the body that's fully expressing him in that way. So, okay, anyway, so we have singing. And we're doing that in a lot of our churches, which is awesome. Singing is a beautiful expression. But I just want to mention that there are vocal expressions outside of just singing. So I don't want to get too wild, too late. But whether it be, and you have to look up the Hebrew words to kind of understand what I mean. Like, there are some that are like a high-pitched squeal, like, I don't know how it sounds, like a kid on Christmas. Excitement, joy is what it is. It's an overflow of feeling that's released in authenticity. There's a holy shout, however that sounds. And I'm not going to demonstrate it per se because your vocal expression, isn't a mimicry of mine. It's going to sound in your own distinctive way. So do you see what I'm saying? There's other ways to use our voices to praise God besides just what you would what you would normally think of as singing. So I just want to throw that thought out there. And with that thought, here's another thought. And this is, again, I'm making the dance singing parallel because I think singing in our modern North American churches is a lot more healthy. It's in a healthier place, and it's in a fuller spectrum of expression and acceptance than dance and physical movement is right now in our churches in North America. Hey, Josh! I'm loving all your Trump impressions these days. It's so funny. So dance in our churches, and in our society for that matter, it's not limited to just what you would think of as, ballet or jazz or tap or some kind of stylized set thing. There's a lot of physical movement that's interpretive and improvisational and in the spirit that is available to us outside of just classical dance. So I'll wrap up the video now, but the point of it is, don't limit or suppress your expression or your art by comparing it to others. Don't say, oh, well, they're trained in ballet, so I can't do that expression, so therefore I'm not a dancer. No! Work your thing out. Explore. Experiment. Turn on some music and maybe dim the lights, light some candles, and just enjoy, experimenting with music and enjoying it. You did when you were a kid. When you were a kid, you heard jazz music in the park and you couldn't keep your body still because you just moved. You didn't overthink who was looking, who was watching, what their reactions might be, whether they liked it or not, whether they thought you were crazy or not. You just moved, and it was simple and it was pure and it was innocent and spontaneous and creative and free. And I want to get back to my childlike self, even if I look like Luna Lovegood and I'm like this weird, wow, this is amazing. I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to be jaded and cynical and bitter and not be whoa, the moon's insane right now. Whoa, I love going to the beach. I love watching movies. Whatever I really want to not be suppressed and really just fully like it and fully enjoy my life. So that's the dance thing. Maybe you want to play with an instrument and just kind of have some fun with it. Maybe take lessons. Maybe just kind of mess around with it, There's no boxes here, Maybe you want to try some art and you feel I'm not super good at detailed art, I'm not realistic with my drawing. Get some paints out, man. Use your toes. I don't know, use your hair. That might get messy, but go crazy. Try something. Spray perfume on it. Just like use like little like containers and shapes and like press stuff on it. Like do 3D art. Like you have nothing to lose by exploring and finding your art and your own expression. In fact, it's very therapeutic and scientifically it's good for you, you know, creativity and art and all that. But this isn't a scientific argument or proof. This is one person who has come out of some limitation, one person who has decided, like, you know, I'm not going to worry about if I'm better than others. I'm not going to worry that their expression's different than mine. I'm going to be myself, find who I am, be brave enough to explore and try things and find my art. And I just encourage you guys to try some stuff. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. Happy New Year. Bye.